Welcome to our last panel of the day. I hope you had a great day and enjoy your ETH week because there's a lot of side events and yeah, it's quite the end now, so enjoy the rest of the day. I'm proud to be here to present our subject now. I'm Kelly. I was part of the French Student Association Cryptosphere. And then with two other girls, we've launched Her DAO France. We want to bring more women in the ecosystem. We have Sochi Scholar for the ETH Global Hack. And we are proud to be here. Okay, now we can begin. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday. I'm sure everyone is really so relieved to be after ECC week. My name is Paige D, and I'm the principal founder, but also a co-founder of Frontier DAO. And so we're a science-focused DAO, and our verticals are fusion energy, space technology, and climate technology.
Hi everyone, I'm JC, and I'm the co-founder of Builder.dev. It's a platform to help all the adopters find new projects. And yeah, and I am a software engineer normally, but I'm handling everything linked to product.
Hi, I'm Nicolas. I am a CEO of Feature. Feature is a dev tool to incentive developers to contribute to open source projects with a crypto reward.
Hello, my name is Benoît Kulesza. I'm the founder of Good Hive. Good Hive is a collaborative freelancing platform for IT talent of the Web3. And we are also the organizer of this event, the Web3 Talent Fair.
Hello everyone, I'm Anna. I am a contributor in Bankless DAO, and we are trying to make this world more bankless to teach people for their independence and financial freedom. Very happy to be here.
Thank you all for your presentation. As you already know, the subject of this panel is about DAO and also sharing economy, as we want to include all we want to include all the people into the Web3 ecosystem. So it will be good to introduce first what is the concept of a DAO and also the sharing economy. So if you want to precise what is DAO and sharing economy, it will be good to hear.
Sure. Well, there's several interpretations of a DAO. I think the basic one, and one that you'll see Vitalik actually also underscore, is a DAO is an organization that's set up on smart contracts, right? So the way, once the DAO is deployed on a smart contract, then the way you iterate on it is really kind of up to you, right? So that's why we see all kinds of organizing structures within the DAO. It can be a protocol DAO, it can be a social DAO, it can be an investment DAO. There's all kinds of ways to iterate on it. But I would have to agree, and there's still some discussion within the DAO communities, but I do agree with Vitalik's definition, is that it's an organization that's set up, its governance is primarily set up with smart contracts. Sharing economy, or should I pass?
We can just focus on DAO first and then discuss about the link with sharing economy.
Yeah, so for DAOs, I think the central part of DAOs is linked to smart contracts. If not, it's a normal organization, let's say. And so the central part is, like you said, the execution on smart contract, the execution of the decisions, the processes, of what the people around organizing themselves are trying to do. Yeah, I think it's really linked to that, smart contracts that handle the decisions made by the governance of people.
Yeah, I want to make some difference between some other definition. because there is some DAOs that are not based on the smart contract. For example, some people say Bitcoin is a DAO because there are different actors with different interests. There is a user, there are the miners, there are the node runners. So, but it's decentralized and it's autonomous. So we can say it's a decentralized.
DAO.
it's a DAO.
Name.
And another point. We can say it's based on smart contract, but in practical, most of the DAO, they just run on snapshot. It's not a smart contract, but there is not on-chain enforcement. So yeah, we can discuss about this, and also there is make some difference between some different kind of DAOs.
Yeah, so for me, the first time I heard about DAO, I immediately related to the DAO, you know, the Taoism. Nothing to do with DAO. For me, it's a circle with, 2 points and the yin and yang. But, well, after I understood what it was, I definitely understood how strong this kind of a new setup of organization can be, because it's all decentralized, because it's a new way of organizing ourselves as a human society, human organizations. And it's definitely, I believe, the future of work will be around those new technologies and a new kind of organization.
Right, I agree, and I feel DAOs are more like an experiment of people joining together towards a common goal, and of course, what makes it get involved into a DAO and not just a regular voluntary organization is that they leverage blockchain technologies, but still there's, as you say, there's some DAOs that have smart contracts, some others that don't, but they share something in common, and it doesn't matter where you're from, you can join almost any DAO. I think one particular aspect is that they are permissionless, so maybe you join and you don't like it and you don't stick around, but you don't need permission to enter. Whereas in a normal job or organization, sometimes there's filters or there's, you have to ask for permission. And I like that about DAOs, that you can join and see what you can do there to help.
Good news, now we know what is a DAO, but maybe you are wondering what is the link between DAO and sharing economy. If you have some suggestion on this. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll start.
Good luck.
Yeah, I think there is a deep link between the two, and the dream of a DAO that will be totally autonomous and people will join, will go out, and only the incentives will drive how the DAO works. And so there is a link between the sharing economy, because you can come in the DAO and you can say, hey, I propose this work and I can do it in an hour or something. The DAO can say, oh, we like this work, and then you do it, and then you receive the tokens that the DAO delivers to you, and it incentivizes, let's say, people to enter and to share, let's say, their skill or the thing that they can offer to the DAO, and then we will be rewarded for that.
Yeah, and we have some very good example about some DAO with very good success. For example, we have Uniswap or Aave, Compound, or some others. And one side is about sharing economy. For example, on Uniswap, there is a user that can make swap, but also there is a provider about to provide the tokens. And this is kind of sharing economy. Because it's permissionless, so everyone can transfer to the protocol to get some yield. So, and in parallel, we have the governance. And the governance is driven by a DAO. So, so the sharing economy and the DAO, they are linked in by this way.
Yeah, so I personally come from the sharing economies. That was my first entrepreneurial experience. And we were dreaming about how to share more and more value with the users and creating some commons to create a system that enables the users to create even more value because they would be incentivized to use and to create value on the platform. That was very difficult before we had the blockchain. It has to be done through the distribution of equity. But doing that with the equity standards is very difficult, legally speaking, and in terms of tax, etc. But when I understood how the blockchain works, and when I saw the DAO from Ethereum, I thought it was like really amazing, an incredible tool to share the value that is created on the platform, on the common, to every contributors. And I believe that this system of smart contracts that works without trust, that are immutable, that are permissionless, it's really a great add-on to the sharing economy as a whole. And yeah, once again, I'm pretty sure that's the future of work.
Okay, great. You want to add something about this subject?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd love to sort of throw to an example that I think is practiced a lot in South America and in Africa, which is when communities are bankless, like literally bankless, a lot of times they'll group together and there'll be maybe 12 families, right? And one person will maybe need to repair their roof, or another person will need to plant a new garden or something. So they'll pool their resources together, and so each family maybe will contribute $100, right, or their local currency. And then the 1 month, one family gets to use it, and then the next month, the next family gets to use it, and then the next month, the next family gets to use it. And so what it seems to me is that with the sharing economy and blockchain, what we're doing is we're taking these age-old, tried and true traditions and just putting it on chain, so that if we don't live in the same community, we don't live in the same neighborhood, we can still share and we can still support one another, even if we're bankless.
You want to add something else? Or? Okay. I think it's a really good point, because we have a good view on what Web3 and more like blockchain add to this economy, like for Africa, for example, as you said, and it's good to have a real use case and real example of what blockchain, Web3 add. So if I can ask, what is your implication in DAO and sharing economy, and how does your project is linked to those concepts?
Okay, sure, thanks. Our big vision is that we want to democratize energy. So Frontier DAO's DNA is that we want to see as many people in the world be owners in the next energy technology, clean energy technology, which we believe is fusion energy. So today, you know, that resource that is so essential for everybody's lives is owned and controlled by, you know, just a select number of players. And so we feel that that blockchain will actually unleash the ability for, you know, millions, if not billions of people to actually participate as owners in the energy economy.
In the case of Builder, I think how it's related is that for us, we want to help, we want to share. We share like early adopters want to discover new projects, and for us, we prefer to, instead of selling the marketing, selling everything, we prefer to share it to the project that come on the platform for free. And we believe that by sharing it directly to them, other people will be touched and will discover the new project, will start to use it, and people will see the different use cases of crypto, and they will go inside of this project, help them do something for them. And we innately believe that by this, it creates reciprocity between us, the projects, and the people that discovered something, a project that maybe changed their lives and that they liked or something like that. So it's really linked to that. We obviously will have something, the organization where projects will be selected by people, and we will need a DAO that will be incentivized to always select projects that are not scams, obviously. But we believe that it could work like almost autonomously by people curating the future projects that will be the top ones and that will impact our lives.
Yeah, for future we don't have tokens, so we are not DAO at this time. So I would just talk about the limitation of the DAOs. You talk about some scam. Sometimes they say, yeah, so yeah, we are on DAO, so it's legit. But there is some issue about this. Because we need decentralization, and it's not if you said you are decentralized, but if the founder have like more 20% of the tokens, the ecosystem is completely centralized by the founders, and this is kind of a big issue. So to check if it's really decentralized, if it's a DAO, before you have to check: do you need a token maybe, or is it the token have a good distribution? What's the use case of the tokens? And also about the governance. For example, Arbitrum, some months ago, they say, yeah, we can make a vote for this, and they do the inverse of the vote. So because most of the DAO, I think they are centralized maybe because the token economy is quite centralized, but also sometimes they don't follow the votes of the people because it's an off-chain vote. So there is some like bad, how can I say, something we need to check if it's really a DAO or not.
Yeah, the governance is a very interesting issue as well. For me, the DAO is mostly interesting for distributing value across the members and the users, the very one who are creating value for the ecosystem. The way we are working on it on Good Hive is that the client is paying a commission, and this commission will be in the future turned into our own token, and this token will embed all the value that is created on the ecosystem. This token is a bit like an equity share of the system, and every people working getting some mission through the Good Hive platform, either as a talent doing a mission, or as a recruiter, or as a mentor, will grasp a share of the commission, transform into our own token. So in this way, they will more and more get ownership about the platform, ownership about the value of the platform, but also about the governance of the platform. And to say something more about what you said about governance, I would say that I think it's very important that the governance stay. It's not very Web3 friendly, what I will say, but I think it has to be some kind of pyramidal, especially in the beginning, because otherwise the DAO don't go anywhere. If it's too horizontal, then there's no strategic decision who are taken rationally, but it's more about the interest of the many, and the many's interest is not necessarily the interest of the protocol. So I think it has to be some kind of pyramidal in the beginning, and even in the long term, I think the structure of the governance should keep some kind of election or some kind of delegation that enable the one who was the most involved in the protocol to govern as much possible with free hands, like a normal company, in fact, but with the value and the shareholding equity that belongs to the user.
Wow, I'm loving this conversation because it's a topic I'm very passionate about, and why blockchain is such an important advancement to our society. All our economic systems and our coordination systems are just experiments that have been slowly cooking up during human history. And when I say DAOs are an experiment, I just mean that they are a more agile experiment. We can do a lot more faster, and as other panels earlier explained, like you can fail quickly, so you can learn quickly and make better experiments in the next chance. So we are experimenting with this sharing economy, or how to make it more equitable, more accessible for everyone. And I love that there's so many projects that are advancing specific needs for every group, every region. And I mean, sometimes it's just so much excitement in the
She's
ecosystem.
so enthusiastic about DAO, so she just don't know, but
yes,
yeah,
and not just DAOs.
you're just really enthusiastic about DAO, so I understand.
Yes, DAOs, public goods, protocols. I mean, we are all kind of building into this. We're building the pieces of this awesome puzzle that we can construct, and ownership is an important part. Like every person can be part of this economy and feel like they own, they hold. And in Bankless DAO, what we're trying to do is to do the exact onboarding. Like people, like everyone can take advantage of all these things that are going on. And they will need the vocabulary, they will need the awareness, they will need to know the technologies and the wallets and how to connect to this. So I'm very excited to work on this base layer where some people, their first time they found about Web3 is through Bankless content, or it's more friendly and more accessible. So, and we explain detailed stuff, so it is less overwhelming and it feels more liberating and more accessible, I think.
Thanks for your feedback about this. I see all the speakers are really into all DAO stuff, but now imagine that I want to set up a DAO, so how we can do, which tool do I have to use, if you have any recommendation?
Yeah, I just want to jump on some things, and then I will go on.
Okay, go ahead.
For the DAOs and the issue of DAOs, and I will add one thing to things linked to DAOs, is that we often think that a DAO needs a token, and some DAOs I think need a token because the token itself is used and is very important. But I think a lot of DAOs don't need a token. Because it's very hard to create the right incentive with a DAO token. And sometimes you want a lot of people to vote, but you don't want one person that has a lot of power on the DAO to vote with his token. And because the people that have the token can have the opposite incentive of the users that are using the project or the product. And maybe you're a user of, I don't know, of Spotify. Let's say you're listening to Spotify, etc. But the person that has the highest power, that can be an investor, and we might use the Spotify DAO to move it in a way that creates more financial value but destroys the user experience of the millions of people that are using it. So it's not always the right way, but it can be a way. There is some that I think are interesting for creating a DAO. I know Aragon. Aragon is one of the most used to create, and it helps to simplify the creation of DAOs directly. That are interesting, and you can gather people around to vote on different things, and it can be made for a lot of different purposes. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about the Aragon, and this is one of first project of the Ethereum. But what is interesting, it was very popular at the beginning, and now it's not so much. The reason is it's about the gas fee, because it costs a lot to vote, because it's a Ethereum transaction on chain. So it's a bad things for voters. So that's why they created after snapshot.org. At this time, this is the most popular one, and it worked very well. But it's off-chain, so there is not like smart contract enforcement. But there is some project like I think it's Snap Page or something like something like this. It's an oracle to enforce the snapshot vote. Yeah, I want just also to add a point. In a technical point of view, it's very easy to set up a DAO. I think we need at least maybe 10 minutes. You go to OpenZeppelin wizard, you create your ERC20 tokens, and after you go to snapshot.org, you need a ENS at this time. I think it's something to whitelist people, I don't know exactly. And after you just like move your token and set up the kind of governance, because you have different strategy of snapshots. If you want quadratic voting or just like a simple vote, something like this, it's quite easy to set up.
I think if you want to set up a DAO, you need to have a meeting with Nicolas one-to-one. So, yeah.
Yeah, a few other tools that we've been discussing about, but we talk about Aragon. So I think that was among the three first one. The two others, I remember there was a DAO stack, but now we are not, we don't hear about it anymore. And there was another one which is still live. It's Colony. So the interesting stuff about using those tools, it's a DAO framework, so everything is on chain, it's enforced through smart contracts, it's transparent, auditable, etc. For sure, like for the last 2 years, it's been more like a Snapchat, who's been used because of the gas fees. It was much less expensive, or it was inexpensive to use it. And I remember at the beginning of Ethereum, the gas fees were quite low, so we could use like on-chain voting, and that was acceptable, like paying like 50 cents for a vote. But if you belong to intensive voting DAOs, and with the gas cost of today, it becomes like very, very difficult. But I believe that with the zero knowledge, ZK solutions, and the second layer like optimism. Now we are back to the beginning, and I think there will be a second season for DAO framework in the ecosystem.
There's a DAO called ELI5 DAO, that stands for Explain Like I'm 5 DAO, that reviews DAO tooling. Aside from the smart contract, it's more related to the organizational part of the DAO. But that's a good place to start because they make reviews for all of these cool DAO tools. So you can see in one single page like what's the best thing of each tool, and that helps you get started with the operation side of the DAO as well.
Great responses. I just wanted to add a couple of things. ELI5 DAO is actually part of a DAO club that I'm in through Colony. So if anybody's really passionate about starting a DAO or going through a cohort, Colony has a great, it's about I think they start a new one about every 6 months. So I believe it's going to be starting their 5th cohort. I was in the Genesis one. So, but funnily enough, I actually deployed the DAO on Aragon back in January of 2022, so almost 2 years ago now. And I'm so happy that everyone's mentioned Aragon because they actually did just do a real revamp. And so the UX of January 2022 is nothing like today. I mean, today it's so much easier, it's so much more user-friendly. And I tend to be a little thrifty. And so I actually set it up rather than on Ethereum, I set it up on Polygon so that anybody can vote. It's super cheap. So you can just actually take the option when you're setting it up and opt into either Ethereum mainnet and understand that gas fees may penalize you at some times. It depends on what's going on in the ecosystem, but Polygon is almost always super cheap. So that's worked out really well for us. So.
Also, just one information about our Web3 tool. It is really interesting to see that there's a lot of Web3 tools that are just no-code tools, so you can have something, you don't need to code anything. So think about this if you want to build a project or have a quick solution. Now we know what is DAO, how we can set up a DAO. So now what are the limits of this kind of organization, of these governments? If you have any thoughts about this?
Okay, there are a lot of limits. And the limit that I see is the gaming the DAO, gaming the incentives of the DAO, and people that will go inside the DAO to extract as much value. And today it's easier. It's easy. The more decentralized the DAO, the easier people will try to take profit from it and try to go up and take profit. I think one of the only very decentralized DAO that managed to not get let's say taken profit from is Curve DAO, because they're taking into account that if you want to take profit from it, well, you need to buy the token, lock it for 5 years, and grade the yields, etc. So it's kind of designed for you to take profit from it, but the other ones, it's very easy. We have some histories from that, and it's this structure that tries to flatten out everything has this kind of issue of somebody entering and being trying to game the system to have the keys and even approve his own proposals at the end and take ownership of it.
Yeah, I think one of the big issue about the DAO is about the governance. And yeah, even if the distribution is quite legit, for example, the founder have only 10% or less, we can have some whales and then it takes a lot of tokens, and it's completely centralized. And I think a lot of DAOs they have these issues. Okay, so to fix this, there is some projects that try to make some like proof of personhood. So the idea is one human, one vote, like proof of humanity. And no, there is a project WorldCoin with you scan your iris and you are human, and maybe you can vote on a DAO. But yeah, this is a big issue because most of the DAOs are plutocracy. So most you have token, most you are power. So yeah, I think this is the big issue this time for this ecosystem.
Well, I believe we're in the beginning of a big cycle, which is really changing the way we interact or we organize in between ourselves as a human society. And the governance is a great issue, of course. And we will need to experiment a lot to go to the right point. And I think there will be as many different kind of governance as there is different kind of target organization. And I strongly believe that the future of democracy itself will go through the DAO. It will be much more efficient, transparent. It will enable people to really see what the result of the decision. Can you imagine, like, if tomorrow's budget of your street is decided by the DAO of your street, and you can see exactly where the funds are going, what you have paid for your tax, where is it going exactly, how it's spread into the real world. I think it's both very new, and in this way we have to test because it can become very tricky, very messy if we just give one voice to everybody to say for this kind of decision. But I'm sure that through experimentation we will find the best way possible to represent everybody's interest, and it will bring a very great leap for humankind in the way we organize ourselves.
Yeah, great comments. You know, actually, I think it'd be remiss to talk about DAOs and not talk about DOs and DACs as well. So, you know, we've been seeing this bubble up in this space where you have decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, you have DOs, decentralized organizations, and then you have DACs, decentralized autonomous corporations. And I think they all have their place, most certainly as we embark on this grand experiment of coordination with new technological tooling. You know, that's not to say that there aren't going to be some weaknesses or some places that we're going to need to focus on along the way. But it does, there's a podcast called the Green Pill Podcast that's on Bankless. And some real thought leaders are on there. You know, the guy that hosts it is like a real celebrity in this space. But he had Eric Voorhees on not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago. And Voorhees is the guy with Shapeshift. And Shapeshift has been around since almost as long as the DAO. And I really loved that conversation because it, like basically Voorhees was saying, look, this is how we organize our DAO because we want to get stuff done. Right? We don't want to go through this stasis of people, you know, spending 6 months trying to figure out what they need to vote on and if they need to vote and how they need to vote before we can actually move forward. He goes, you know, we build stuff. That's what we do at Shapeshift. We build stuff. And so, you know, if you're a protocol DAO, if you're a building DAO, then that's how you need to organize, right? So I think it really comes down to be honest, I don't think there's any preset recipe on how to create a DAO. I think it really all comes down to what do you and your buddies your community want to get done? What, you know, what do you want to do together? What are your milestones? So.
Thanks for your feedback. I think maybe if someone have an interesting fact or funny fact on DAO, you can share even in the room if someone have something to say, or if not, we can just close this day. And yeah, if you have or not. If someone have, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so thank you all.